Welcome back everybody, Maverick here, and it is that time again. It is time to go over all of the fatalities for Mortal Kombat Deception. We'll be ranking them 1 through 10 as we go, and unlike some previous Mortal Kombat games, in particular Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, this game Mortal Kombat Deception, will be one of the most challenging Mortal Kombats to rank the top 10 fatalities, namely because all these fatalities are good. The caliber of fatalities in Mortal Kombat Deception is incredible. They did an excellent job with the fatalities on this game. I'm excited to do this, and for once, the biggest problem we have will be narrowing down which 10 to put in the top 10. So let's get started. So when we did the top 10 Harakiris for Mortal Kombat Deception, I saved Goro and Shao Kahn for the very last. I'm going to reverse it this time and do Goro and Shao Kahn first before switching over to the Xbox version where I have everything unlocked. So let's start off with the big Shokan Prince, Goro.
Fatality.
Now this is a heck of a fatality. I love it because Goro's using all 4 of his arms. He gets 4 sides, much like Mileena, and I guess it's ironic that we're doing this to Mileena. He gets a side for each hand, and he just stabs him into his opponent. But that's not enough. He then grabs one and then jabs it into their throat. And when we did the Goro arcade playthrough, I surmised that I think he's pulling out the sai at the end and stabbing it into their throat because he doesn't want to hear them scream. It's a great fatality. I love that Goro is getting his own fatalities in a game for a change, not just reused ones. Now you're going to hear me say this a lot, because this is a great fatality. In most Mortal Kombat games this would make the top 10, but in Mortal Kombat Deception it's not. It's just an honorable mention. Now this is an excellent fatality. This is the exact fatality I've always wanted to see from Goro. He's the Prince of the Shokan. He's a beast, and he's got 4 arms, so let him use them. Picks up his opponent by each limb and then just tugs on him until they come off. Each limb comes flying off. I love this fatality so much. It's definitely making the top 10. Jumping into the number 1 spot. For now, if this is your first Mortal Kombat top 10 video that you're seeing of mine, the way it works is we fill in from the top, and then Goro, who is in number 1 spot right now, may or may not get displaced as we go. Somebody may knock him down to the number 2 spot, etc. So for now, our Prince Goro sits at the number 1 spot. Goro made his way onto the top 10. Let's see if Shao Kahn, the Emperor of Outworld, can do the same. This may be one of my most favorite fatalities of all time. Shao Kahn launches his opponent up into the air and then readies his Warhammer to swing it like a Louisville Slugger as they come back down. This is how he got the nickname in our arcade playthrough of Shao Kahn, the Barry Bonds of Outworld. And I think I said if you put Barry Bonds and Shao Kahn in a home run derby tournament, who's winning? Shao Kahn. It doesn't matter how much juice Barry Bonds is on, Shao Kahn is taking that down. I'm putting him at 100 home runs a season. Did you see that swing? It's incredible, just look at that. So with all that said, is this making the top 10? It absolutely, positively is making the top 10, displacing Goro down to number 2 as we bounce into the number 1 spot with our Emperor of Outworld, the Barry Bonds, the home run king of Outworld, Shao Kahn taking the number 1 spot. What an incredible fatality. Let's see what his second one has to offer. Another just incredible fatality. It looks like when Shao Kahn is tired of being the home run champion, he's going to go be the Tiger Woods of Outworld next, because he just pounds Scorpion into the ground, and then he gets his driver ready, except his driver is a Warhammer, and he just sends Scorpion's head flying. I mean, it goes pretty far too. You don't see where it lands. It just goes flying. There's some power behind that swing. Shao Kahn is showing off his extreme might, his power. You can tell that he's just got so much power. I mean, you know how much that Warhammer must weigh? It's got to be like, what, 8 to 10 pounds maybe? Maybe even heavier? I don't know. To swing that thing around would be tough. and he's just tossing it around like a baseball bat or a golf driver. It's incredible. So is this making the top 10? It absolutely is making the top 10, bouncing into the number 2 spot, putting Shao Kahn in both the number 1 and number 2 spots for now, with Goro at number 3. Is this any surprise? Shao Kahn and Goro are always used to being at the top. In any combat tower that they're in a Mortal Kombat game, it's Shao Kahn at the top, and then Goro in the sub-boss position. And look at these two guys. They're doing it again so far on the top 10 Mortal Kombat Deception Fatality rankings. So Jade has the unenviable position of following up both Goro and Shao Kahn. Let's see what she's got. Jade rams her bow staff through her opponent's head, and then you think she's done. You're like, that's a cool fatality, right? But no, then she grabs the bow and does like a flip, flips her opponent over her head, and then sends them flying, but the head stays on the bow staff. This has got to be one of the coolest fatalities, just because it starts off so good, and you think it's done, but it's not done. It gets even better. When a fatality starts off good and ends even better, it's making the top 10. I mean, I love Jade, I love her fatalities, I love that they did her well in this game, love her alt costume, and this is just the cherry on top for making Jade so good in Mortal Kombat Deception. So bouncing into the number 4 spot is Jade's fatality, and you know what, there's no shame in being the number 4 spot right now, because Shao Kahn and Goro are both just absolute monsters. They have monster fatalities, those are going to be hard to overcome. So Jade at number 4 is still incredibly impressive. Jade's second fatality is another excellent bow staff fatality, as she basically runs the bow, through her opponent's abdomen entirely. Cuts all the way through it. Now how that happens is unclear, because the bow staff isn't a knife, but nonetheless, she poses with discipline as the body falls, the top half of the body falls to the ground, and then she kind of celebrates her victory. Another incredible fatality. I love this one, but it's not making the top 10. For no other reason than that there are just better fatalities than it. Like I said, this game is just packed with great fatalities. Up next is Kenshi.
Kenshi wins. Fatality.
Look, I'm not a huge fan of Kenshi, I'll admit, but this is a cool fatality. He really jams that sword through Sindel's chest right there, and then pulls it out and slices her again. The only problem is that there are better swordsmanship fatalities on this game, so this is not making the top 10.
Kenshi wins. Fatality.
Look, I gotta say, Kenshi's second fatality is not a bad fatality, right? But if I want to see a telekinetic fatality, I'm gonna go do an Ermac fatality. Now, I don't know what Ermac's fatalities on this game are. I don't recall them. We haven't done them yet. But I don't want to see Kenshi doing a telekinetic fatality. As great as that is, I think Ermac is the master of telekinesis, so this is not making the top 10. Up next is Scorpion.
Scorpion. Scorpion wins. Fatality.
Now, usually I'm a huge fan, I'm a huge supporter of the Spinal Rip fatality. It was the top fatality on the Mortal Kombat 1 top 10 fatality videos. It was the top Harakiri when Hotaru did it on Mortal Kombat Deception top 10 Harakiri video. But here's the thing, you can't just keep doing it. I feel like they're taking advantage of my love for the Spinal Rip fatality. You can't just keep doing it and giving it to different characters, especially not Scorpion, who's a rival of Sub-Zero. This kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, it's cool to repeat it in different variations, but why are they giving it to Scorpion? Feels a little bit disgraceful taking it from Sub-Zero, who mastered it so wonderfully all the way back on Mortal Kombat 1 for the Super Nintendo. But at the end of the day, I do love the Spinal Rip fatality, and it is making the top 10, but it's not going to be in a top position. For all the aforementioned reasons, it is hopping into the number 5 spot, bringing up the rear for now, right behind Jade.
Scorpion wins. Fatality.
So Scorpion's second fatality is not a bad fatality, but, I mean, he's taken off an arm and then a leg and then breaking his opponent's neck. There's just no rhyme or reason to it. There's no solidified theme for this fatality. It just feels like he's doing random things, taking off random limbs, and then before deciding to break his opponent's neck. So while it's not bad, it's also not making the top 10. Up next is Melina.
Melina wins. Fatality.
Oh my god, I love Melina. And oh my god, I love this fatality. And no, it's not just because I'm a super fan of Melina, and it's not just because she's the hottest female combatant in all of Mortal Kombat history. It's not because it's a cool fatality, even though it is. But I love this fatality because Melina, I've never seen somebody enjoy performing a fatality as much as Melina. I feel like she's built for this. She's made for this. This is what she wants to do. Did you hear that growl at the end where she kind of like does a laugh and it's like a combination of a laugh and a growl. I mean, she's clearly enjoying herself. Maybe a little too much. But she uses her teeth. She bites and bites and bites and then rips the head clean off. Poor Shujinko, an old man. Though we should all be so lucky, right? So does this make the top 10? It really goes without saying. Absolutely it makes the top 10. Bouncing into the number 4 spot, right behind Shao Kahn and Goro, is Melina's fatality.
Melina wins. Fatality.
Another absolutely incredible fatality from Melina. If nothing else, it displays her incredible, not hand-eye coordination, I guess it's foot-eye coordination, where she can throw up her sides and then kick them into her opponent with such expert precision. I mean, it's truly an incredible feat. I guess that's a pun, since she's using her feet. But pun aside, and as good as this fatality is, it's not making the top 10. As much as I love Melina, this one is just too mid-tier for this game to be in the top 10. Up next is Baraka.
Baraka. Baraka wins. Fatality.
So Baraka takes his blades and does a little slice and dice before stabbing his opponent in the chest and taking off their upper torso. It's a cool fatality. I'm not going to say it's a bad one, but it's certainly not making the top 10.
Baraka wins. Fatality.
Now I will say Baraka's second fatality is an honorable mention. It's probably in that 11 to 15 range. I mean, straight up decapitating someone by uppercutting them and then catching their flying head and skewering it on your Tarkatan blade is pretty cool. I mean, in fact, while I'm describing it, I'm now thinking, should this have been like 8, 9, or 10? But the fact remains, there are just so many good fatalities on this game that it's only an honorable mention, not making the top 10. Up next is Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
Now this is a cool fatality. This is what I want from Sub-Zero. He does like the Kamehameha Ice Beam to freeze his opponent. And then he rips their frozen head off. But then he does this ice slide backwards for a wind-up. Like a slide wind-up, like he's some kind of Major League Baseball pitcher. Let's call him Sandy Koufax. And then he just launches the heat, a heater, which is ironic because this is actually a freezer, making them explode. I've never seen so much. See, this is what I want. An intricate fatality that has a lot going on, but it's all themed. You know, you've got the Kamehameha Ice Beam. you've got the Frost Slide windup, and then you've got the Freezer fastball. Everything is so well themed. This is an excellent fatality, and it is making the top 10. Hopping in to the number 6 spot, behind Melina and Jade. Those two beauties have excellent fatalities, but ahead of Scorpion. I can't put Sub-Zero behind Scorpion, not after what Scorpion did by stealing Sub-Zero's fatality from Mortal Kombat 1. So Sub-Zero makes the top 10 in the number 6 position for now.
No, 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 please! No!
Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
I mean, whoa, that's a heck of a fatality. It's brutal, right? He freezes their lower half of the body, does a sweep to take out their legs, and they're not dead. They start crawling back. Jade starts crawling back, begging for mercy. Sub-Zero says, "No mercy today," and then stomps her head. This is a cool fatality. I like it, but it's going to fall in the honorable mention category. It's not making the top 10. It's probably, I mean, yeah, it's in the 11-15 range. I'm probably going to say 11 to 15 range quite a few times. Even though there's only 5 spots, I'll probably say it more than 5 times. Because honestly, it's so hard to pick which of these fatalities should fall in that range. I mean, this is clearly not a top 10 fatality for me, but it's also very good. So I'm kind of torn. Up next is Sindel.
Sindel. Sindel wins. Fatality.
Whew, hell of a fatality, right? I mean, Sindel's always been that mature screamer. You know, she's the queen, she's a little bit older, but she's also the girl you want. Now, in this case, Kerba's getting the wrong end of her screams, but it is a cool fatality. It really elevates Sindel's screaming ability, which has always been a fine ability, and now it's just even better. Having said all of that, this doesn't make the top 10 for me. Again, it's an honorable mention. Very good, but not top 10.
Sindel wins. Fatality.
Sindel's second fatality is probably one of the weaker fatalities of the game. I understand she's making like a blade fan by spinning her staff so quickly that it minces her opponent as they fall back down into it. It's just a little bit played out, mid, and probably unrealistic given that her staff is only bladed on one side. So for all those reasons, this is not making the top 10. Up next is Havoc.
Havoc. Havoc wins. Fatality.
Now, I really like this fatality because I really like Quan Chi's fatality from Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Gold, where Quan Chi rips off the leg and beats his opponent with it. This is just a more efficient version of that fatality, Quan Chi's fatality, because Havoc's only hitting them once after having pulled the leg off. Now, I do love the fatality, but it's losing creativity points for having been done by another character before, so this is not making the top 10.
Havoc wins. Fatality.
Okay, I must have seen this fatality many times by now, and I'm still confused by it. And you know what I love about it? Is that Havoc, if you've played Conquest Mode, you know he's an agent of chaos. The dude loves chaos. And this fatality is chaotic. He pulls off Melina's arms, okay, but then he like turns around and starts puking up blood himself, and I think he pukes up a bone or two as well. I love this fatality, not because I don't understand it, but because I do understand it. It's pure chaos, and that's exactly what Havoc is. So this has to make the top 10. It's just themed so well. So bouncing in to the number 7 spot behind Sub-Zero and ahead of Scorpion is Havoc's chaotic fatality. Up next is Tanya.
Tanya. Tanya wins. Fatality.
I don't know what it is with Tanya, but the girl loves pulling out femurs. On her Harakiri, she pulled out her own femurs, and now she's pulling out her opponent's femurs and stabbing them into their upper chest. I don't understand that. I understood Havoc's fatality because it was chaotic and he's chaotic. I don't understand Tanya's because she's pulling out femurs, but she doesn't have like any association with femurs that I know of. But she just seems to keep pulling femurs out. Why? It's weird. I don't hate it. It's not a bad fatality, but it's not making the top 10. So Tanya's second fatality, she pulls out her blade, does a couple of quick slices, and then does that graceful turnaround no-look gut stab. It's a very pretty fatality. I think she, as a character, looks very good, very strong, good-looking female combatant, and her fatality is very graceful as well. But this is just an honorable mention for me. This is not making the top 10. Up next is Noob Smoke, and we'll be starting off with Noob's fatality.
Noob Smoke. Noob Smoke wins. Fatality.
This is a cool fatality by Noob Saibot. Pulls out his shurikens, his ninja stars, and just pelts, repeatedly smothers Ashra with these shurikens, killing her. It's a cool fatality, but it's not that creative, if I'm being honest. It's a Noob Saibot, I love the character. Everyone thinks he's got so much aura, so much swag, but if you look at it from an objective standpoint, this fatality is just okay, so it's not making the top 10. Now up next is Noob Smoke again, but we'll be doing Smoke's fatality.
Noob Smoke. Noob Smoke wins. Fatality.
Here's the thing about Smoke's fatality. I'm sure it's really cool. He takes off his arms, takes off Cabal's head somehow, and I bet it is really cool. But the thing is, how would I know? I can't see it. If you're going to do a fatality, let me see it. Going invisible's cool, doing a fatality's cool, but I do want to see it. So that's my biggest knock on this. I can't see it. Not making the top 10 for that reason. Up next is Bo Raicho, and I do not have high expectations for this drunkard bastard.
Bo Raicho. Raicho wins. Fatality.
So Bo Raicho lights up his torch, gargles a bunch of alcohol, and then spits it out at the torch, making a flamethrower that melts his opponent down to the ground, killing them. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It is a well-themed fatality for the character, but it's just so silly. I can't get into it. And I know I've got a mental block about Bo Raicho. Even if he had an awesome fatality, I'd still have a hard time convincing myself to put it on the top 10. So yeah, this is not making the top 10.
That's a stinky one. Raicho wins. Fatality.
So this fatality is even more despicable than his first fatality. He lights up his torch again, but this time he bends over and blows his ass all over the flame to make a flamethrower, melting his opponent down to the ground, killing them. Now if you listen closely, you'll notice Bo Raicho isn't just farting, he's sharding himself. The dude may be full on shitting himself. And if you're sharding or full on shitting yourself during your fatality on a Mortal Kombat game, you're absolutely positively never making the top 10 list for fatalities. Up next is Nightwolf.
Nightwolf. Nightwolf wins. Fatality.
So Nightwolf takes his axe, takes his hatchet, and overhead throws it into Melina's head, killing her. Now this is a perfectly fine fatality, but it is so predictable for Nightwolf. You know, like, come up with something more creative. This is not making the top 10, not even close really. I'm not sure it would make the top 20 in this kind of game, where the fatalities are so good.
Nightwolf wins. Fatality.
Again, Nightwolf just takes his axe, takes his hatchet, and decapitates his opponent with it. I mean, yeah, he catches his head for a little bit of cool effect at the end, but this is basically just another variation of an axe fatality for Nightwolf. It's, again, probably wouldn't make the top 20 in a game like Mortal Kombat Deception, where the caliber of fatalities is so high, and for a character like Nightwolf who has so many cool angles to play with, these fatalities really fall short, really fall flat on their face. It's probably one of the few areas of solid disappointment that we'll find going through all these fatalities in the game, not making the top 10. Up next is Ermac.
Ermac.
Yes.
Ermac wins. Fatality.
So we get what we all want from an Ermac fatality. It's a telekinetic fatality. But the problem is, in the landscape, in the broader landscape of Mortal Kombat Deception, this is a very average fatality. So, while it is nice, it's a good Ermac fatality, it's not making the top 10.
Ermac wins. Fatality.
So we get another telekinetic fatality from Ermac, 2 for 2, exactly what I wanted, right? It's making the top 10. No, for the same reason that the first one didn't make the top 10, this one's also not making the top 10, because in the broader landscape of this game, this just doesn't measure up to the caliber of fatalities that the other characters have. So while I do like these fatalities, they are not making the top 10. Up next is Cabal.
Cabal. Cabal wins. Fatality.
So Cabal kicks his opponent, spinning them, and then runs his blade along them, cutting them into multiple pieces. A perfectly serviceable fatality for Cabal, but it's only serviceable. It doesn't go above and beyond, and in this game you have to go above and beyond to make the top 10. So this is not making the top 10 list.
Cabal wins. Fatality.
Cabal hits his opponent up in the air and then slices them in half as they come back down. A fine fatality, probably not one of my favorites, probably not even in the top 20 for me. So this fatality is not making the top 10. Up next we've got Li Mei.
May. May wins. Fatality.
Now I'll give Li Mei credit, this is a lot cooler fatality than she deserves. This is like a brutality with a delayed explosion at the end. I mean, she must hit them like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11 times, and then there's a pause where she knows what's going to happen, and the opponent's just standing there like, what's going to happen? And they explode. Li Mei is not a character who I like. I don't think she's a character that a lot of people like, but I think we would all agree that this is a nice fatality. It's a great fatality, but it's only making an honorable mention. It does not make the top 10.
May wins. Fatality.
Another not bad fatality from Li Mei. She uppercuts her opponent, knocking their head off, which in itself is, you know, whatever. Not gonna do it for me. But then she kicks their head into them, exploding them. Now, it's a little bit unrealistic because Li Mei does not have that kind of power. Come on, she can't kick a head and explode her opponent. But put it all together and it's an okay fatality. Is it making the top 10? No, not even close really. So, moving on. Up next is Raiden.
Raiden. Raiden wins. Fatality.
Okay, so Raiden does a little electric lightning Kamehameha at his opponent, exploding them, but then he gets, I guess, some backfire and explodes himself, so I'm not sure if this is a fatality or a harakiri, a little bit of both, I guess. It's a wild ride. You never know what's going to happen during the course of this fatality, so I'll give it an honorable mention, but it's not making the top 10.
Raiden wins. Fatality.
Raiden's second fatality is very similar to his first fatality. It's almost as if his first fatality was a practice round for his second fatality because he does something very similar, shoots lightning, makes his opponent explode, but this time he seems to get it right. He doesn't make himself explode. So not the level of expertise that I'm used to expecting from the Thunder God, and this is not making the top 10 list. Up next we've got our boy, our Conquest Mode champion, Shujinko.
Shujinko. Shujinko wins. Fatality.
So Shujinko takes his two swords and decapitates his opponent, and then inexplicably stabs his swords into the shoulders of his decapitated opponent. I don't quite understand that. It's kind of a weird choice. But the thing that frustrates me about this fatality is that I was trying to perform it. I probably failed it like 4 times, just couldn't get it to work, and then I realized, ah shit. Shujinko's fatalities are an unlockable thing in the crypt. All of his moves are, and all of his finishing moves are. So I actually had to back out and log into my profile, Maverick, in order to be able to do the fatality, which I had forgotten to do at the first. So this may be my frustration talking, but this is not making the top 10.
Shujinko wins. Fatality.
So once again, Shujinko takes his two swords, but this time he does an expert, flawless execution of sword strikes, before then kicking his opponent and allowing their body to fall into pieces from his previous said sword strikes. Now what I love about this fatality is it shows how effortlessly Shujinko, as an elderly man, can still execute this fatality. It's a complicated fatality, it shows off his excellent swordsmanship skills, and what I like about it is it reflects the journey that not only Shujinko has had training with all these warriors for decades of his life through Conquest Mode, but also the journey that we as the player have had. We started off with a young Shujinko. We did all of that training, all of those side quests, all of those fight challenges, finding the crypt key chests, and now here we are performing this amazing, highly skilled, expert level fatality with our Conquest Mode champion Shujinko. This one really hits you right at home, right in the heart, and for that reason, it's hopping into the number 5 spot. Behind Melina, but ahead of Jade, is Shujinko's fatality. So with only one spot left in the top 10, we move on to Hotaru.
Hotaru. Hotaru wins. Fatality.
So Hotaru grabs his opponent by the leg and kind of slams them back and forth until they explode, and then he does a little fist pump like an athlete scoring a touchdown. He is a Satan guardsman, so I imagine this isn't his first time doing this to one of his captives, but I do have to give him credit because he still holds such enthusiasm, having done this multiple times. Despite that, this is not making the top 10, even though I do like it, not a top 10 for me.
Hotaru wins. Fatality.
Alright, so Hotaru breaks his opponent's neck and continues to spin it over and over and over again, but it doesn't come off. You know, that's a little bit strange for someone who's just continuing to spin the head around and around. You think their goal is to pop it off. Hotaru must just give up, I'm not sure. I will say, for somebody whose alt costume is so awesome, I love the full armor. His fatalities don't really live up to the expectations I was hoping for. Like I said, Hotaru's always kind of been a mid character for me, even through Conquest Mode, but I do have to give him credit because he did have the top Harakiri in the top 10 Harakiri videos, so I guess he's just better at killing himself than others, because this is not making the top 10. Up next is Ashra. And you know, I always say Ashra, but listen to the announcer, they actually say something like Ashra.
Ashra.
So I guess the announcer actually says something closer to Ashra. I'm gonna get it right eventually. Anyways, Ashra pulls out a voodoo doll and starts to stab it. And first Melina's arms fall off, and then she falls down dead. But you know what? I can't give this a top 10 fatality because Melina's voice actor screaming upstaged this fatality. Melina steals the show, which isn't all that surprising. Her vocals are amazing, her screams are amazing. Now I would like to give Melina credit for snatching this away from the top 10 list, but let's get real. Ashra was never going to be in the top 10 to begin with. But let's just see what her second fatality has to offer, just in case.
Fatality.
Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. Ashra's second fatality is completely unimpressive. Probably one of the least impressive of the game as far as like bottom quartile. It falls in that quartile, I would say. It's just a standard fatality with a white energy that's unexplained, and it doesn't make the top 10. Alright, up next is Dairu.
Fatality.
Alright, Dairu's fatality grabs her arms, does a little back bender, right, and keeps bending until the top of Jade's torso pops off. But the thing about this fatality, the best part, is that Dairu then like jumps for joy and kind of like does a little fist pump, almost as if he didn't believe he could actually do it. So that lack of confidence is definitely not putting him in the top 10. So let's see what his second fatality has to offer. Hopefully he has more confidence with the second fatality.
Fatality.
Now, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with Dairu's second fatality. He like reaches in and grabs some bone with some flesh on it. I'm not sure what the bones are, maybe ribs, and then plunges them into his opponent's eyes. Now, this is probably, I don't know, in the 15-ish range, an honorable mention range. It's a huge improvement from his first fatality, but it's not making the top 10. Up next is Cobra.
Fatality.
Alright, so Cobra does the heart rip out, the Kano classic. This must be some kind of like Black Dragon, Red Dragon fatality special, because it's a technique many of them learn. But Cobra pulls out the heart, but instead of holding it up like Kano did in Mortal Kombat 1, where it's still beating, which was awesome, he disrespectfully like rubs it in Melina's nose, or in her face, and then pushes her to the ground. Now, I do love this fatality. The only reason it's not making the top 10 is because I think it's a lesser version of Kano's original heart rip fatality, where he holds it up and it's still beating. And the fact that it's still beating, I wonder if that's possible because of the sinoatrial node, which we talked about a little bit in the Harakiri video, and how it beats independently of the central nervous system. So the fact that Cobra rubs the heart in the opponent's face, I think makes it a lesser version of the heart rip fatality, and I'm putting it in the honorable mention category, possibly as high as like 11 or 12. It's a really good fatality, don't get me wrong.
Cobra wins. Fatality.
Not gonna lie, I kinda hate this fatality. It is just so slow to develop, right? I mean, Cobra messes around for like half the fatality, just kicking the opponent in the face until he finally decides to, hey, let's kick his head completely off. So not only is it slow to develop, but once it does develop, it's also underwhelming. So no, this is not making the top 10, and in fact, it's probably in that bottom quartile range. This is not a fatality I'm a fan of. Up next is Darius.
Darius. Darius wins. Fatality.
Look, I like this fatality, okay? I like the arm rip fatality idea. I like the genre of arm rip fatalities. But here's the problem with this fatality. Darius is a lesser version of Jax. I firmly believe that they should have put Jax in this game instead of making up Darius. And guess what? This fatality is just a lesser version of Jax's arm rip fatality from Mortal Kombat 2. And I mean, you can say Darius pulls off the arms and beats his opponent with them and then showers in the blood when he's holding up the arms at the end. But the fact remains that Jax did it first, Jax did it better, and this should have been Jax doing it here, not making the top 10.
Darius wins. Fatality.
Alright, so Darius does some kind of rearranging of the body with his hands. Doesn't seem like there's any force involved, he's just kind of moving his hands around and makes a Picasso rendition from the opponent's body. And then he kind of looks at it and says, before kicking it down to the ground. I think this is an attempt at comic relief, but the fact that it's not funny makes this a fail, so this is in no way even close, not even close to the top 10. Next we have Kira.
Kira.
Yeah! Yeah! No! No!
Kira wins. Fatality.
I want so badly to like Kira's first fatality. It has such a good setup. First she anchors opponent by throwing her daggers into their feet. They can't move. She's got them right where she wants them, and she's walking up all slow, building the tension in the fatality. She can do anything she wants, anything. And the disappointing part is that all she does is a torso rip, and she throws the upper half of their torso into the air and it lands on the ground. This fatality is capable of being so much more. I imagine, what if you put Melina in this situation? If Melina were in this situation, she would go absolutely feral. She would do something completely unhinged. The girl would get freaky. And as a result, it would be one of the best fatalities in Mortal Kombat Deception. As it is, we have Kira, who does a nice setup but doesn't take full advantage of it, and to be honest, I think if Kira were to take a page out of Melina's playbook, this would be a top 10 fatality. But as it is, it does not make the top 10.
Kira wins. Fatality.
So Kira's second fatality is a simple, well, I won't say completely simple, but it's a basic throat slit, head decapitation fatality, and those are rarely getting praise on my top 10 fatality videos just because there are so many of them throughout the Mortal Kombat franchise. So when I see one, I think, okay, it's another head decapitation fatality. Now don't get me wrong, some head decapitation fatalities do have a cool twist. Like this one has a small twist where she first, I don't know, cuts her throat with her daggers, but that's not going to do it to make the top 10. So Kira doesn't make the top 10, and that only leaves one character to go. And that character is Liu Kang.
Liu Kang. Liu Kang wins. Fatality.
Now, much like I've praised Melina's vocals in prior fatalities, or where she's getting a fatality performed on her, I do have to give praise to Liu Kang's vocals on this. I've always loved his vocals ever since, I don't know, ever since when? Probably since forever. I mean, he's always got that wah, and he's just an excellent vocal martial artist. Now, having said that, it's a pretty standard flame fatality from him, so I do think the vocals elevate it, but it's not making it the top 10. This is an honorable mention, 11 through 15 kind of fatality. So let's see what his second fatality has to offer.
Liu Kang wins. Fatality.
Okay, I love this fatality. Liu Kang's second fatality is amazing. You know, he's zombie Liu Kang now, so he's not like this perfect Shaolin monk anymore. He's got a little evil edge to him, right? And he goes into this green energy and basically possesses the opponent's body, goes into their body, and then forces them to rip off their own head. But what's left standing? It's Liu Kang's head standing there. I love the idea of him being inside someone's body, and when they take their own head off, Liu Kang's head is left in its place. It's just a really cool fatality because it puts an evil spin on an otherwise perfect character. Because let's face it, don't forget, in Mortal Kombat 1, his fatality wasn't actually a fatality. It was just like a kick, you know, like a fancy kick to finish the opponent. No blood, no real like gore or death to accompany the kick. And they said that's because he's a monk, pure of heart. He would never do a fatality. How far we've come. Now we're possessing people's bodies as evil zombie Liu Kang and pulling their heads off to show that we're actually inside of their body. I love this. So hopping into the number 8 position, right behind Sub-Zero but ahead of Havoc, is Liu Kang's body possession fatality. And look, the only reason it's number 8 is because there are so many other good fatalities in Mortal Kombat Deception. In fact, I'll say this, if a fatality is on the top 10 for Mortal Kombat Deception fatalities, it is an excellent fatality. There is no other way to put it. Because look what we've got. We've got Shao Kahn home run, Shao Kahn Tiger Woods, we got Goro using all 4 limbs to rip someone apart, we got Melina being a sexy girl with that growl laugh after biting someone and chewing their head off. And you know, Melina is ranked so high, just for those wondering, because she looks like, and I mentioned this earlier, she looks like she wants to do a fatality. It looks like she's aching to do the fatality on her opponent. That can't be said of most people in Mortal Kombat. She brings a type of energy that I love to see. Shujinko, I love Shujinko's fatality. All that swordsmanship built up over all the conquest that we spent so many hours playing. Jade, love the staff fatality. Sub-Zero's themed fatality with the ice Kamehameha, the ice slide, and the ice head throw. Liu Kang we just talked about. What an amazing come up for a character from Mortal Kombat 1 to here. Havoc, another themed, well-themed fatality with Chaos, where he pukes himself at the end. It makes no sense and I love it. And then of course we've got Scorpion's Spine Rip fatality, which isn't so much about Scorpion's abilities, but more about the fact that the Spine Rip fatality is such a classic fatality that no matter who does it, I'll love it. I've given props to Sub-Zero on the Mortal Kombat 1 top 10 fatality video, and I've given props to Hotaru, whose Harakiri is the Spine Rip on himself, and I'm giving props here to Scorpion. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned that is probably one of the most impressive feats possible in a top 10 Mortal Kombat video is that Shao Kahn has held down the number 1 and number 2 spots for the entire video, and it's impressive enough to have both of your fatalities on the top 10. We saw it in Mortal Kombat 2 with Jax. He had, I think, 2 fatalities that were in the top 10, but neither of them broke 5. He wasn't in the top 5 on either of them. But here we have Shao Kahn not only holding down the number 1 and number 2 spots, the highest you can do in a top 10 video, but he's doing it in Mortal Kombat Deception, where every fatality that he's competing against is top tier. And you want to know the crazy thing? Shao Kahn and Goro, who's in 3rd place, were GameCube exclusives. And that means if you're playing the Xbox, if you're playing the PlayStation, you're missing out on the top 3 fatalities that Mortal Kombat Deception has to offer. People always ask, why does GameCube have Goro and Shao Kahn as exclusive characters? Well, the answer you'll most often get is that, well, the GameCube came out 4 months later, in February, whereas the Xbox and PlayStation versions came out in October of the previous year, so you missed out on that holiday rush, right? Everyone had to buy it. And there's no online play for the GameCube. So when you're looking at this, it's like, who's ever going to buy the GameCube version? You gotta throw in some characters, and boy did they throw in some characters. Now, knowing that anyone who bought the GameCube version was getting it late and didn't have online play, the developers did not mess around. Not only did they throw in exclusive characters, they threw in exclusive boss characters with the top fatalities in the game. Whew, that's incredible. I love Mortal Kombat Deception. It's got to be one of the best Mortal Kombat games ever. So those are your top 10 those are my top 10 Mortal Kombat Deception fatalities. I know this is going to differ from person to person, so please drop a comment. Let me know your top 3, top 5, top 10. What do you think should have made the top 10 and didn't? What do you think made my top 10 and shouldn't have? Anyways, I love doing these videos, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for now. Y'all take it easy. I'm out.